Hi ladies, we are in week 3 and we are now going to learn how to test our ketones. This is only an option. I am making this video because I want you just to know that those are the options. You don't necessarily have to do this as part of the Keto Lifestyle for Women project and program because I don't want it to be like a scale always dictating how your mood is going to be, because I've had patients go and do blood work and they're looking in your blood work, it'll say ketones in their urine. They're like, what? There's no ketones in my urine? So I'm just going to break down the what the ketones are basically and how do we test them, because there's a lot of people that want to know about that. So basically there's 3 different type of ketone, we say the ketone bodies. So there's the acetoacetate, there's the acetone, and then you also have the beta hydroxybutyrate, the BHB. So the first one that most people will do, it's probably the least reliable, but you'll probably get some positive results if you have never if you've never done a ketogenic diet and you're starting to go low carb, high fat. You'll probably get a positive test in the beginning, but then you probably will not get a positive test after that. And the reason being is because when you first start this type of eating plan and you start on the having a higher fat, your body, you're going to be spilling more ketones into your system, into your urine, so it's going to pick it up. You can retest after doing this type of eating plan for like 3 or 4 months, and you probably will test that you don't have any ketones in your urine. And the reason being is because your body's using them up. It's not spilling them out like it was in the beginning. So basically, let me show you what this looks like. Like, I use these ketone strips here for the test strips. You can buy these online. You can go to CVS, Walmart, any pharmacy, and pick up the ketone, these strips, these urine strips. And basically the way this looks like is you're gonna see like some colors right here. What I usually do is I just pee in a cup and then I just dip it in there, and then you wait a few seconds and you look for the colors to match up here. And basically, as long as you're like in the purples, means you have, just all it's telling you is you have, you're spilling ketones. So don't be so hard on yourself if that is not, if you're not getting that. So that is for urine, okay? Second one that's popularly used is, this is called the Keto Mojo. And it's a ketone and a blood glucose monitor, and it also checks hematocrit and hemoglobin. So it does check a few other things. So basically the way you do this is, so you see that it's got a little display here. So the way you do this one and what you're doing here, this one's actually checking another ketone body called beta hydroxybutyrate. Now the beta hydroxybutyrate, it is the one that your brain thrives off of. So this is a great way to test them if you do choose to do that. And the way you do this is you basically just prick your finger. When you prick your finger, there is, and I kept messing up the other day, and I must have used up like 4 of these strips, and they're kind of pricey, anywhere from $2 to $3 just per strip. So you could see that I don't test a lot. You basically put it inside the monitor, and you prick your finger, so you have a little lancet there, and you don't want to smear it on there. You actually just want to squeeze your finger so that the blood does drop on there, and then it'll give you a reading. It'll tell you if you are in ketosis, or basically if you, it's testing for the beta hydroxybutyrate, and the numbers are going to be 0.5 to 3.0. So this is another option. This is the one that is favored right now in the industry. It's pretty reliable, okay? The best time to check for when you are, if you want to check this, I'm not saying I don't, but I at least once a week or every other week after you've been doing this for a little while, for you as you're beginning, once a week. So the reading you want to get is between 0.5 millimoles and 3.0 millimoles. So that's how you check for the BHB, which is one of the ketone bodies, and the to find out if your body is if you're in ketosis, basically. The third one, and I don't have that because I've kind of been researching and the reliability of it isn't that great. It's actually a ketone breath meter. And some of the things I've been hearing about it is that it's not as convenient because sometimes it turns off. You have to wait for the machine to turn on. You got to wait. You got to really blow hard in it. And sometimes people wait for the meter to warm up, and then they come, then they forget about it, and they're like, oh, I got to redo this. And then, so that is another way. And basically what that's checking is the acetone. It's that fruity breath, right? Like when you haven't eaten for a while, that's what it's checking for. So you have this one here that's checking for the acetoacetate. This one's checking for the BHB, and the other one, the breath, is for the acetone. So you have a person that's fat adapted, and you have a person that's in ketosis. You can be fat adapted and not be in ketosis, not make ketone bodies, but you can also be making ketone bodies, but not necessarily be fat adapted. Just because you make ketone bodies, because in ketosis, it means that you're making ketone bodies, or it's a breakdown of fat into ketones. Just because you're making ketones body doesn't necessarily mean you're going to lose weight. And just because you're fat adapted doesn't necessarily mean you're going to lose weight either. So you can be one or the other. And when it comes to weight loss, it really comes back down to hormones. But when you're doing the ketogenic diet, the higher fat, lower carb, your body is just fat adapted, and your body's using fat as fuel. So that's the difference. So you can be one and not the other, and it's still okay. You will know. In a previous video I mentioned, how do I know? Yes, you can test, but you can be in ketosis one day, showing positive on this test, and then a couple hours later you can see you went and exercise and you're no longer in ketosis. So it's kind of like, am I really going to rely on that? Not necessarily. If you do choose, use this one, do the blood one. And the best time to test would be probably in between lunch and dinner. And so between lunch and dinner, and if you did exercise, make sure that you did it in the morning. So that's how you check for your ketone bodies. And once again, you can be fat adapted and not make ketones, and you can also make ketones and not be fat adapted. So there is a difference between that. I would say I would choose first to be fat adapted. That's first, and if you get into ketosis, awesome. But ketosis isn't for, you shouldn't just go crazy and just like, what do I need to do to get into ketosis? You don't have to go crazy about that and stress out about that. As long as you're fat adapted, and you're going to have moments of being in ketosis and making enough ketone bodies to have a positive impact on your brain, I believe that that's a good place to go. But I will cover that and some of the benefits of ketosis in another video. All right, so I hope that answers some questions. And once again, we have 3 different types of ways that you can test. Blood is probably the best, not the most comfortable, but usually after the first 2-3 times, you're pretty good, because I hate needles too. All right, I'll catch you on the next video.